The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I look out at all of you who have served our nation, and all of you who have stood by their sides and waited as they served. And I see the most tested among us, the most tested of all Americans. Collectively, the generation of soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines who have served and sacrificed for us are the heart and soul, the very spine of this nation. And as a nation, we pause today to thank the more than 23 million surviving veterans who have so bravely and faithfully protected our freedom. We only have one sacred obligation to the nation, to train and equip those who we send with everything they need, and when they come home, to care for them and for their families. That's what we should be thinking about today on Veterans Day.
Ooh, WhiteHouse.gov. Ooh, happy Veterans Day to all who have served and survived while Donald Trump blames, this is so rich on Veterans Day. Donald Trump is alleging fraud. Well, you know, that's what Donald Trump does. He alleges fraud while he commits fraud. So the fraud is a fraud. But Donald Trump is actually accusing military families on Veterans Day, accusing military families in Nevada of criminal voter fraud. Swear to God. Swear to God. They actually went to court and they presented a list of fraudulent criminal activity voters who they believed were outside of Nevada and voting in Nevada, and they were doing so criminally. And it turns out that when you look through the records, you'll see something that veterans in this audience and those who serve with them as families, military families, you all know this. If you look at the fraudulent evidence, they have addresses that are all very similar in this way. Either they say APO, Army Post Office, or they say AFB, hello, Air Force Base, etc., etc. But their home is Nevada. And when you're in the military, you're allowed to vote in your home of registration, even if you're in Afghanistan. See, that's how that works. Even if you're now in California, serving at an Air Force base there, like Travis or something like that, right? So for me, I would have been a New Yorker, of course, joined to see the world, and was stationed in New Jersey. Oh, please. But yes, I voted as a New Yorker. I voted as a New Yorker because that was my home of residence. Anyway, that is what he's up to today on Veterans Day, because he can't even conduct fraud with any skill. That's why he always gets caught. Like he got caught with the Trump University fraud, and he got caught with the Trump Foundation fraud, to the point where he and his miscreant family are no longer allowed to sit in a position of honor or have a charity, because they regularly commit fraud and they regularly get caught. So the only irregularity in this here election in 2020 is the fact that the incumbent president has been a narcissistic con man criminal. That is the fraud. The New York Times has called every election official in all 50 states. They couldn't find one election official, whether they were in red states like Kansas or blue states like Pennsylvania now. They couldn't find any evidence of fraud. You know what that means, QAnon? You know what that means? They're all in on it. They're all in on it. That's why Trump lost. They're all in on it. Oh, my God. QAnon is beside themselves. They don't even know what to, where's the Durham report? Wait. So does that mean that Hillary wasn't running a pedophile ring out of Comet Pizza Parlor and Ping Pong? What does it mean? What does it mean? Why is Q doing this to us? Why? Oh, my God. So if this election was stolen from Donald Trump, then I want to announce that the title of Miss Universe 2020 was stolen from me. And I was cheated out of an Oscar, and my lawyers are right now on the phone with Renee Zellweger. I mean, and my lawyer is Rudy Giuliani. I just, I mean, he's got time on his hands now, doesn't he? Ever since Four Seasons Landscaping. Total landscaping. And of course, we don't do shrubbery. It's all a fraud. No, but it's unbelievable what is going on. And millions of people seriously believe that this election was this giant conspiracy perpetrated by red states and blue states, perpetrated by every single supervisor of election, every single election official, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter, Georgia, Raffensperger, all of them, the governor, Jack Kemp, I always call him Brian Kemp. All of them, they're in on it. Everybody is a deep state operative, and that's why Donald Trump lost. No wonder they're all in it. This is crazy. This makes absolutely no sense. And I feel for people who believe it. And I have to tell you, there are two different polls out today, and they are polar opposites. The Reuters Ipsos poll says 80% of America, 80% of us believe that Joe Biden is the next president of the United States and that he won legitimately. But a Morning Consult poll, which is being peddled on Fox News, oh, yes, it is, says that 70% of Republicans believe that Biden cheated.
70% of Republicans feel like the presidential election was neither free nor fair, according to a new Morning Consult political poll.
I know.
Now, of that group, 78% believe mass mail-in voting led to widespread fraud. 72% of that group think the ballots were tampered with. But nevertheless, Biden is pretending that the election has been certified and that all legal challenges have been resolved.
Good news for Miami Dolphins fans, because now I guess we can say we've won every Super Bowl since 1972. I guess we could say that. Didn't we just win a game, though, in Arizona, which was like the first game we've ever won in Arizona since like the 90s or something?
It was one of the best games of the year. Kyler Murray was supposed to come in and dazzle everybody and be the better quarterback. And lo and behold, Miami's new quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, comes out and matches them touchdown for touchdown, wins the game. Things are looking really good in Miami right now with new coach Brian Flores. It looks good.
What about the election? Now, this is what Brett knows. This is his wheelhouse. It's what he knows. But there was some weird stat about, because we were in Arizona when we did this. We won the game, and everybody was saying we haven't won a game in Arizona in I think it was 20-something years. It was a really, really long stinking time. But that's set aside. So now I guess people who want to believe in conspiracy theories can now accept that I actually won the Best Actress Oscar over Renee Zellweger, and that my attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is fighting to get me my rightful trophy, that I also won legitimately the title of Miss Universe 2020, and that the Miami Dolphins have won every single Super Bowl since 1972. Because you can believe anything you want to. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it true. And I got to tell you, they are on the hunt for anything they can find. You got this, remember the crazy lieutenant governor from Texas, Dan Patrick, who said that he would rather die, he would rather get COVID and die than see America wear masks and protect themselves and others. So he's now offered to pay people to find massive voter fraud.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
as of this morning.
In Michigan, in 2016, Trump won the state by nearly 11,000 votes. Right now, Biden currently leads there by 148,000 votes, a swing of nearly 159,000 votes. An estimated 18,671 votes remain to be counted there.
So no meaningful recount there.
In Pennsylvania, in 2016, Trump won the state by 44,292 votes. Right now, Biden leads by 45,616. That's a swing of nearly 90,000 votes. An estimated 115,541 votes remain to be counted there. In Arizona, in 2016, Trump won the state by just over 91,000 votes. Right now, Biden leads nearly 13,000 votes, a swing of nearly 104,000 votes. An estimated 51,000 votes remain to be counted there. And in Georgia, in 2016, Trump won the state by just over 211,000 votes. Currently, Biden leads there by just over 14,000 votes, a swing of nearly 225,000 votes. An estimated 32,000 votes remain to be counted there.
All right, so there you have it. Michigan is not even close, 148,000 vote difference. Pennsylvania, there's a margin of 90,000 flips, right? Flips, people who voted for Trump but then flipped over and voted for Biden, so Biden is ahead. Arizona, Biden is ahead by 13,000 votes, and Georgia, Biden is ahead by over 14,000 votes. Now, why is that important? That is important because, like we were telling you, and we'll walk you all the way through it every day until this thing is done, you need to present to the court evidence that whatever you're bringing, whatever case you're bringing, actually includes lawlessness and that it would affect the result. Neither of those can be proven. And that is why Trump's lawyers are 0 for 12 now. 0 for 12. 12 lawsuits, 0 of them will be heard. 0 of them have been accepted. 0 of them will be adjudicated in any way, shape, or form because they have attached no evidence of any fraud, any wrongdoing, any violation of any state statute regarding elections, and B, nothing they're alleging. Like this, there's one in Pennsylvania. There's a live one in Pennsylvania. It's these like dead baby jokes. What's more disgusting than a pile of dead babies? The live one at the bottom eating its way to the top. That's all I could think of when I think of his lawyers. Okay, it's like they're trying to eat their way. They're trying to eat their way to the top, and it's just not happening. So you have this one case in Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, where they said, well, the ballots were signed, but they weren't in the privacy sleeve. Or the ballots were signed, but the analysis didn't match the signature to the voter or whatever. How many votes do you got here that you're questioning? Answer, 594. Joe Biden is ahead by 90,000 votes in Pennsylvania, right? So A, it doesn't affect the result. B, how in the world is Donald Trump harmed if ballots that were cast weren't in the privacy sleeve? How is he harmed? Are you alleging fraud? The judge literally said to the Trump lawyers, are you alleging fraud? The lawyer's answer was, no, Your Honor. So there you have it. I mean, there is no chance for any of these to prevail. Lawrence Tribe, who teaches at Harvard, as you know, is a constitutional law scholar and professor. And he brought the bad news to the TV last night.
Is it time to acknowledge that President-elect Biden won the election?
You know, the President Trump is looking at his options.
Senator, have you congratulated Vice President Biden yet?
No.
Why not?
Trump has not lost. Do not concede, Mr. President. Fight hard.
I think that is way premature. At this point, we do not know who has prevailed in the election.
And I don't think the president has any reason to just walk away, throw up his hands and say, that's it.
Professor Tribe, you hear all that. Let's just be clear. when you have looked through all these cases, right, that they are mounting, right, any spaghetti being thrown at the wall, every challenge out there, do you see any legal challenge that the president could pursue right now that would change the outcome of this election?
Absolutely not. And to say that he hasn't succeeded is an understatement. He's 0 for 12 in the cases that I've counted. I've read the complaints. There's nothing there. There's no there. And if there were, then among other things, McConnell wouldn't be the majority leader because the ballots that they say were fraudulent without any evidence are the very ballots that have elected the Republicans to the Senate. So they can't have it both ways. They can't claim that they retook the Senate and that the whole election was a fraud. It is the arguments that they are advancing that are fraudulent. And yes, they have a theoretical right to go to court, to waste money going to court, but it's not going to get anywhere. I think the reason that all of these Republicans are going over the cliff like lemmings is that they seem to think that even out of office, Trump is going to have some hold over them. Maybe he's going to start a new network and they want to be guests on the Trump show. Who knows? But they certainly are not going to have any influence over what actually happens. Trump is simply like a petulant child. He refuses to admit he's lost.
Okay, so Lawrence Tribe is a great lawyer. He is an amazing constitutional lawyer, but I disagree with him on the reason. While it's true that Trump might start a news network of his very own, what the senators, what the Mitch McConnells, what the Lindsey Grahams, what the Ted Cruzes of the world are saying and doing, the Ron, what's his name? I always forget him. The Russian dude from Wisconsin, Portman. Is that Portman, or you know who I'm talking about? I always forget his name because Ron Johnson, because he is just a lunatic, fringy dude. Okay, so anyway, what they're afraid of is exactly what I keep telling you they're afraid of. They're afraid to become the minority party. They're afraid of the election in Georgia. They're afraid that John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock will win Senate seats in Georgia when we have the runoff elections on January 5th. And they believe that Donald Trump ought to go there to Georgia, all over Georgia, and hold rallies to secure the Senate for them. In an alternative universe, they're afraid that Donald Trump, if they don't say he's within his rights to bring lawsuits, which, by the way, he's not. You cannot jam up the court with frivolity and cases without merit or evidence. But why they're saying that is because they think Donald Trump would punish them and withhold his voters from them, instruct them not to turn out in Georgia and make them a minority.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
There are no paths left for him. The counts keep going up in Georgia and Pennsylvania. He's not going to get a recount worth anything that's going to add up to anything in Wisconsin. Even Scott Walker said that. He's not going to get it in Michigan. So he's just setting himself up to lose one challenge after another challenge after another challenge. And that if he does want to run again in 2024, it just doesn't help him at all. Just being seen as a loser repeatedly in all of these stupid challenges.
Somebody did that with loser.com.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden keeps running up the score, frankly, as these counts come in from Arizona, as more votes came in yesterday from the state of Georgia, from Pennsylvania. Some people think the margin in Pennsylvania, some people who know, say it could be 100,000 votes in that state. So we're well outside now recount territory, except with the state of Georgia, where they may announce today if they're going to have a recount. But you're right. The more they push back, the more they fight, the worse this seems to get. You've had court cases dismissed in states across the country, vote counts going up. Joe Biden now winning the popular vote by more than any challenger to a one-term president since FDR in 1932. And if you look at a poll that was out yesterday, I think it tells the story. There's a lot of noise coming from the Trump campaign and from some Republicans. But here's where the country is. Reuters Ipsos poll. 79% of the country, not of Democrats, of the country believe Joe Biden won the election. 13% have not yet decided. 5% don't know. And not 30, not 13, 3% of Americans believe Donald Trump won the election. So he's losing in court. He's losing votes with every passing moment. And America, despite what you're hearing from the campaign and all the loud noise and all the protests that you're hearing from some Republicans, some of them couching it, others being more vocal about it, the American people know what happened here. And Joe Biden, by the way, and the world are moving forward with the fact that he is president-elect.
Right, except that there was a Morning Consult poll that was also out there last night that said that 80% of Republicans think that there was massive, widespread voter fraud, that ballots were played with, and that everybody was in on it. Everybody. South Carolina was in, Georgia was in, the Republican governor, the Republican lieutenant governor, Texas, their Republican, governor and lieutenant governor. They're all in on it. Everybody, plotted against Trump, and that's why he lost. So that's scary. And it also explains to you, who can now be the smartest person in the room with the absolute correct answer about why is Trump doing this. The answer is because he controls 70 million voters. He has 70 million Americans who voted for him under his spell, under his demagogic, narcissistic, evil, death cult spell. And he controls what they think. He controls how they feel about this election and every other thing. And the Republicans in the Senate especially, okay, that's why they're all senators, Ted Cruz and Ron Johnson, and who won't congratulate Biden because there's nothing to congratulate him for, right? All these, and Pompeo is in this category too. Why? Because Pompeo wants to be a senator. Pompeo wants to leave the State Department and go run for Senate in Kansas. That is Pompeo's future, and then run for president. That is what he envisions for himself, which is why he says what he says about, we're prepared for a transition to a new Trump administration. That's what we're prepared for. He wants to be a senator in Kansas, and he knows Trump controls those voters. When Trump controls 70 million voters, you best believe that Republican senators who know better, who know exactly that this was a legitimate, above-board, remarkable, smooth, successful election, why they are parsing their words to come out and pretend like there's some questions still to be answered, and that Trump is completely in his rights to ask the question and hope it gets answered. The reason they're doing it is because the balance of the Senate is in play. All right, Alaska was just called and Sullivan won, so you got 50 Republican senators that will be seated in the next Congress, right? You got 50. We got 48. But there are two undecided from Georgia, both of them. John Ossoff running against a criminal, an actual criminal, David Perdue, insider trading, and Reverend Raphael Warnock running against a criminal, insider trading, Kelly Loeffler, who got COVID briefings way back in the day. We're almost a year into this COVID pandemic. January 28th was the day that we found out. Well, we didn't, but the day that Donald Trump found out about COVID being a respiratory airborne disease. Of course, he lied about it. But we know that from tapes. I mean, he was on tape. The only tapes that I ever heard were Donald Trump on tape. I had never heard tapes of, anything that they promised. We were going to get tapes. They spied. We got tapes. They're going to, lordy, they're going to have tapes. I mean, It's all fraud. It's all been a lie. The Durham report was a lie. Obamagate was a lie. The pizza parlor, pedophile, that was a lie. She's dying of pneumonia. We're back to birtherism. That's where we are. All Donald Trump is doing is trying to get the Republicans to genuflect ahead of 2 Senate races that have to be run still in runoffs, and 2, not be seen as such a loser. And that he can now leave the White House telling all his voters forever that he was that he didn't lose, just like the popular vote. And he set up a voter fraud thing with what's his face from Kansas, right? And he couldn't find anything, couldn't find any evidence of any voter fraud. And why did Donald Trump say it last time? Because he lost the popular vote by 3 million. So he decided that he was going to set up a panel and root out all this voter fraud that kept him from winning the popular vote. Except there wasn't any. And there isn't any now either. But that doesn't stop these Republicans with big political hopes and dreams from saying stupid things about it and throwing this whole country into one against the other, into a cold civil war. They don't care, and that's why I'm saying Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor of Texas, has just announced a $1 million reward for anyone who can provide him with evidence of massive voter fraud. Why do you have to pay people if there's massive voter fraud? If there was massive voter fraud in red state Texas, don't you think that you would have seen it by now? He's like, oh, well, maybe we could pay people to make it up. That is what happened with one of the cases that they brought in Pennsylvania. Remember, there was a U.S. postal worker who said that he had witnessed the postmaster ordering backdating of ballots. Do you remember this? And the report was, it was sent to Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham told Bill Barr, and Bill Barr ordered an investigation. Well, guess what? We now have the results of that investigation.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
On January 20th at high noon, he becomes president of the United States when he takes the oath. And any Trump administration official, including the president himself, who pretends to have power under the executive branch after that point is committing a federal felony punishable by imprisonment in addition to whatever other crimes they might have committed. It's as though he is going to build an alternative White House down there in Mar-a-Lago, presumably with rubber padded cell walls.
No.
And he's going to pretend to be president, but he won't be president of the United States.
But he does control 70 million voters, Lawrence Tribe. I love you. I think you're one of the most brilliant in that you could teach constitutional law to somebody like me. Okay? I just, the pragmatic and simple way that you explain things helps people like me all day, every day. But the reason he's doing it isn't because he wants to commit a felony. The reason he's doing it is because he wants still to be the person that picks winners and losers in this country. He wants to punish Republicans if they don't get his back in this transition phase, if they're not supporting him in his frivolous lawsuits, if they're not saying he's got every right to challenge, if they don't give him the fraud as the excuse to say he didn't lose when he leaves, so that his sociopathy is somehow tended to by them, then he will punish them, and they will become a minority party by virtue of the Senate flipping in Georgia on January 5th to Ossoff and to Warnock. This is why. This is what's going on. This is what Donald Trump will do. Donald Trump is not done having rallies, okay? He's not done lying. He's not done in politics. He is still going to pick all the winners and all the losers as far as he's concerned. He thinks he can do that, and he's going to do it. And you know he's going to have rallies because he can't live without them. This is the only place where he gets to lie freely to people that just absorb it all as truth. This is the only place where he still gets to be fraudulent. This is the only place where his disingenuous hatred for America is accepted. But it's 70 million people. That's why. That's why he's doing what he's doing. Now, other people who follow, national security issues, people who follow the Defense Department, the Pentagon, and the intelligence community, and the Justice Department. These are the places where there should be no politics. These are the agencies in the United States that should be free from politics, but ever since Donald Trump, they've been politicized. And so you have a ne'er-do-well congressman who has zero experience in intelligence. As the director of national intelligence, you got this Ratcliffe dude from Texas who statutorily is prohibited from holding that job. Why? Because in the statute that created the DNI, the guy who sits on top of all the intelligence agencies, the director of national intelligence, and if you don't believe me, just Google it. Just look it up. Check me out. Don't believe a word I say. Just go look it up. But in the statute that made the DNI, which George W. Bush created, he created an entire hundreds of thousands of government jobs. Department of Homeland Security, he created out of whole cloth. He created a director of national intelligence and all his people. I mean, they made government so much bigger, these stupid Republicans. But anyway, in the statute, you have to have intelligence experience. Extensive is the word. Now, you could debate what extensive experience is, but you can't say none is extensive. And that's what Ratcliffe does. So we have these certain parts of our government that were supposed to be free from politics. Bill Barr, the Department of Justice, supposed to be free of politics. The intelligence community is supposed to be free of politics, and the Pentagon is supposed to be free of politics. And Donald Trump is, like we said, I said this how many times, he's going to burn the whole thing down to the ground because he is saying, if I can't have it, nobody can. It's like a bad breakup with a sociopathic boyfriend or girlfriend, okay? Where if I can't have her or if I can't have him, nobody can. Nobody. So Donald Trump is firing. Now, Esper, our defense secretary, I believe he was like the 4th or 5th defense secretary. He was a Raytheon lobbyist. I mean, how obvious do you have to get when he picked Esper? Well, now Esper is not sufficiently loyal enough. So he's now fired Esper, as you know, and he's now putting in cronies. He's now putting in loyalists. He's now putting in people that would do whatever Donald Trump says without ever saying, sir, this is inappropriate. This may even be illegal. These orders you're giving to do X and let your imagination go crazy, because Donald Trump is crazy, are illegal orders or inappropriate or anti-American or not in the best interests of American citizens, whatever it is. He's putting in dudes who are completely loyal to him, guys who could not get confirmed through the Senate process. Why? Well, one of them is an abject racist and was promoting birtherism and calling Obama a dangerous Muslim and delegitimizing the entire presidency of Barack Obama. And this is an added plus for the Republicans, too. Not just that they're afraid of the 70 million voters, but that Biden's presidency could be delegitimized before it even begins by Donald Trump. That's another plus for the Mitch McConnells of the world. But what he's doing at the Pentagon is startling, frightening, leaving us vulnerable at the very least. And at the other end of the spectrum, Terrifying. Terrifying.
They have now swept out people who have combined decades of experience in the military, defense, and national security. That institutional memory here at the Pentagon now absolutely gone. A lot of unease here, I would say, because they don't know exactly why the president did it. He's offered no public explanation, and a lot of anxiety because they have no idea what, if anything, President Trump may decide to do next, and whether these moves are paving the way for some kind of military orders by the president. So where do we stand? Let's look at the people involved. Mark Esper, Defense Secretary, pushed out, fired unceremoniously by tweet. And now the man who has taken his place is a man named Christopher Miller, a former soldier in special operations until 2014, so very recently out of the military. Expertise in counterterrorism, but that's been his main portfolio for many years. Does not have the breadth and depth of experience that most secretaries of defense have as they come into office. Additional replacements: the policy chief, James Anderson, replaced by the person you mentioned, Jim, retired Brigadier General Anthony Tata. Anthony Tata is someone that could not get confirmed to a Senate job, so he's now basically filling in for Anderson. He has tweeted in the past about President Obama being a Muslim and a terrorist. He's now the policy chief at the Pentagon. And moving on, the intelligence chief, a retired admiral named Joseph Kiernan, who was planning to retire, nonetheless moved up and left yesterday. He is being replaced by a man named Ezra Cohen-Watnick. This man had been with Michael Flynn in the early days of the National Security Council. When Flynn had that job for a short time, he's been in several different jobs. In addition, the chief of staff here at the Pentagon's been replaced. So after Veterans Day, when everybody comes back to work tomorrow, the big question is, what happens next?
A lot of people are wondering if Donald Trump's going to phone in some military orders. God only knows what kind or where or what. And that the reason that he is doing this with the loyalists, with the people who could not get Senate confirmation, the people who couldn't, their tweets were Barack Obama as a terrorist leader. Okay, that was one. And purging the entire Department of Defense, purging it and replacing it with Fox News commentators. I don't know if you remember who Kash Patel is. Kash Patel worked for Devin Nunes. He is a really dirty player. Kash Patel is now inside the Pentagon. Another guy named Frank Wuko, former radio talk show host, Frank Wuko. I don't know how many people. He's in there now, too.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
All right, this is the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger.
As it stands today, 97 counties have sent their final numbers in. The current margin stands at 14,111 between the president and Senator Biden, Vice President Biden.
Okay.
The next step in the current election process is getting the final county certifications in. We'll then move to the risk limiting audit, or RLA. At 1 p.m. today, I will make the official designation of which race will be the subject of the RLA. At that time, I will designate that the RLA will be the presidential race. With the margin being so close, it will require a full by-hand recount in each county. This will help build confidence. It will be an audit, a recount, and a recanvass all at once. It will be a heavy lift, but we will work with the counties to get this done in time for our state certification.
All right, so there you have it. The Republican Secretary of State of the state of Georgia, Brad. Why are they all named Trent and Brad and Chad? Anyway, Brad is going to do a hand recount in every single county in Georgia, and that's fine. That's fine. Joe Biden is ahead by 14,111 votes. Just so you know, to refresh your memory, the last time we had a recount, the difference between Al Gore and George W. Bush was 535 votes. It wasn't done in time for the safe harbor period, the protest period, the contest period. So the U.S. Supreme Court stepped in and said, stop counting. Just stop. Just stop it. Stop it right now. So they stopped a count that did have a chance to flip the election, to change the results. They did. The Supreme Court did. However, in this case, the difference between Trump and Biden is over 14,000 votes. There is no chance that this will affect the outcome. Maybe you'll find, fives and tens of ballots that maybe are overvotes, meaning they voted for two people, or undervotes, meaning they skipped this or that. No, you're not going to find 14,111 rotten ballots. It's just not going to happen. So good luck. Go with God. God bless these poll workers. God bless them. I don't know how they're doing it. I do not know. You talk about public service. These people are amazing. Amazing. Absolute. And COVID is everywhere. It's everywhere. Oh my God. Did you see the numbers for the COVID today? Whoa, this is going complete. And I thought Donald Trump promised you that if we elected Joe Biden, we wouldn't hear about COVID on November 4th. Didn't he say that? Q, you better get your crap together. No, today is the 8th day in a row that we have had over 100,000 new cases. Yesterday, over 1,400 people died. 1,400. We're slowly making our way to, we were doing 1,000 a day dead, and everybody was like, it's 1,000 a day dead, 1,000. We're now moving towards 2,000 a day dead, 3,000 a day, and we have 62,000 people in the hospital. 62,000. We haven't seen numbers like that since April, okay? We haven't seen numbers like that since April. And the hospitals that are overrun are in rural states like North Dakota. North Dakota, who voted for the man that did it to you. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So in North Dakota, they announced today that the hospitals had reached their patient limit. The governor there, Doug Burgum, he said state health officials just had to amend a rule with regard to healthcare workers. This is like poll workers. Everybody's putting themselves out there in harm's way. It's just so amazing. But he had to amend the state rule. What state rule? This one. If you're a healthcare worker and you test positive for COVID, too bad for you. You stay at work. Honestly. Because they don't have the personnel to tend to the people in North Dakota. In Des Moines, Iowa, they are nearly full at the ICU. The Unity Point Health Medical System in Decatur County said they're barring all visitors except to accompany minors to fill out their forms, and that's it. Then you got to leave. Iowa's COVID-19 tracker has 1,135 hospitalized in that state with COVID. A record 196 of them are in ICU beds. In just the past 24 hours, 166 people were admitted. And Tulsa is inundated too. Their governor there, actually the mayor of Tulsa, G.T. Bynum, he wrote on his Facebook page, I again implore the state and our neighboring communities to listen to the medical professionals. Take steps that will slow the spread. Politically convenient speeches about freedom and personal responsibility are not preventing our ICUs from being maxed out. In El Paso, they got the death wagons. Seriously, they got the trailer morgues in El Paso. I saw a story today out of El Paso that just ripped my guts out. It was just horrific. I just can't even imagine. Like I've lost family members, obviously, and you have too, I'm sure. We're not teenagers here, but I just can't imagine this. Ugh. So they have these frozen morgue trucks, right? And they're loading bodies into them in El Paso, and the relatives of the people who died alone, are in those morgue trucks, and their family is having to climb up on the roof of an adjoining building to look down on the morgue trucks so that they could say goodbye to their dearly departed. On the roof. This man is more than a blight. He's a disease. He is an infection that infected 70 million Americans. I mean, just their minds are shot. It's incredible how scary all this is. So you've got the Pentagon being taken over by talk show hosts and racists who tweet out that, you know, this Frank Wuko guy. The reason why we know him is because he worked at WFLA in Tampa. I worked at WSUN in Tampa. Okay, so it's a small world. That's who's in charge at the Pentagon. That's one of the policy guys at the Pentagon now. This freak of nature that promoted conspiracy theories on his Tampa radio show. I mean, we have a vice president of the United States who is also a right-wing lunatic talk show host. We have a president of the United States who we have to manage to survive not just the last 4 years, not just COVID now, but we have to manage to survive another 70 days of this in a scorched earth. By the way, Trump had a meeting today of his political advisors. He has said nothing. Nothing. He showed up at Arlington today in the rain. He stood there with a sad, long face and said nothing. Didn't recognize the veterans, didn't recognize the fallen, didn't recognize Veterans Day, nothing. Didn't say anything at all, and then left. And then he went to the White House and decided to have a meeting of political advisors. And it's over now, and they said no sign that he's going to concede. There's just no sign that he's going to go. Mark Meadows has COVID. The head of the political affairs, I think his name is Brian Black or something like that. I forget his name. Brian something. Anyway, he's got COVID. Ben Carson has COVID. It's just so unbelievable. So not only do we have to survive a pandemic, not only do we have to survive the next 70 days of Donald Trump putting flunkies and conspiracy theorists. I mean, this Frank Wuko guy, he was a birther, okay? It was always Barack Obama is a Kenyan. He's a Kenyan. He's now at the Pentagon, okay? At the freaking Pentagon, deputy overseeing special ops. Overseeing special... Hey, why not just put me at labor? I don't know.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I think that there's no question that our hospitals are about to be overrun. We're going to see by far the darkest days of this pandemic between now and next spring when vaccine becomes available. On Labor Day, we were at 32,000 cases a day in this country. Now we're running it in the 120 to 130,000 cases a day. Do not be at all surprised when we hit 200,000 cases a day.
Oh, my God. 200,000 cases a day, every day. It's spreading like wildfire, man. It is. It's spreading like wildfire. And Fauci is like, listen, you have to understand it's going to get a whole lot worse because the genie is like so out of the bottle. This man did nothing. Fauci's not going to say that, but he's just warning everybody.
How much worse do you expect this to get before it gets better?
Well, unless we really double down and do the public health measures that we've been talking about for so long, Jake. If you look at the numbers and the number of cases that we're seeing each day, over 100,000, and the deaths ranging, from 800 to over 1,000, you can do the math yourself. It couldn't get much worse. And that's the reason why we really are pleading with the American public to really take seriously. We're not talking about shutting down. There's always that misunderstanding when we talk about public health measures. We're not talking about shutting down. We're talking about the 4 or 5 things I talk about all the time: wearing masks universally, keeping a distance, avoiding congregate settings, crowds, particularly indoors, doing things much more outdoor than indoor, and washing hands.
Oh, Jesus. Robin in Harlem.
Oh, Randy. Listen, I got to pull the plug on you with why the Senate is supporting Trump. Of course that's why they are, because they're afraid of him tweeting.
No, he's been tweeting.
No, but why the Senate is that they don't want him to mean tweet them. He's going to be in prison. They're not going to let him tweet. He's going to be so tied up with the SDNY, with the New York AG. They won. He's not going to help this Senate in the future.
So cases don't go that fast. I think you know this. Both of our spouses are lawyers.
But he's going to be tied up.
Your spouse?
No.
Oh.
No. Trump will be tied up with the multitude, the rape suits, all of the stuff. He isn't going to be tweeting.
He's going to have
members of the
Listen, he is going to have rallies. You mark my words. What is today's date? Whatever it is. You mark my words. He's going to have rallies in between now and the runoff in Georgia on January 5th. And there's 2 Senate seats, okay? Both of them are likely to go to Democrats, and he knows it. And I think Obama ought to get his behind down to Georgia. I think Kamala ought to go down to Georgia. I think we ought to have rallies down in Georgia because Trump is definitely, the devil is going down to Georgia.
Well, I'm already writing postcards to Georgia. So anybody reclaim our vote?
Yeah.
Write postcards, phone bank, send money.
Definitely. No doubt about it. I'm not giving up on the Georgia special election, but I'm telling you, this is what Trump is going to do. It's going to be. It's going to be. It's the bitter ender. The bitter end tour. I mean, and he's not even. He's still in denial. So when he gets to the anger phase, that's when we have to look out. But yes, Robin, he's going to go down there. There's no question.
I know he's going to, and he's irrelevant. He's a loser.
I know that's how you and I and probably 80% of this audience think, but there are people who are being told repeatedly in red state Georgia that they were robbed, that some sort of fraud happened, and it happened at the hands of black people in Atlanta and the surrounding black suburbs, and this will not stand, okay? And so we have to turn out and we have to, go vote for 2 criminals, 2 insider traders, Kelly Loeffler and this David Perdue piece of dung. And that is why I'm telling you, they're all genuflecting because there's an election before the handoff. There's an actual election still to happen. And he will still be president.
We need to tweet the New York AG to go after Loeffler's husband because he's in New York and he insider traded too.
So that guy owns the New York Stock Exchange. I mean,
yeah.
Unbelievable. But anyway, you stop sending me Dobbs Ferry. I'm not living in Dobbs Ferry.
So listen. The Howard said he wanted me to get him into the next administration. I said, nobody's moving to Washington. You're moving to New York.
Right.
Don't be stupid.
Well, I met you in Washington. This is how long I've been friends with Robin. I met Robin in Washington. I fell down her stairs at the first dinner party she ever had, and I fled. I was fleeing the interview. I just fled. And then we regrouped in New York when she moved to New York, and I want to live in New York again, but I can't. I can't afford it. It's just like mind blowing. And he, the Howard, he's like, I want to be in the Biden administration. He really wants to go back there, but I hated it there, and you hated it there.
I know there's no life in Washington, even when there's good presidents. But no. Yeah,
keep telling him.
There's nothing to do. If you're not in politics, there's nothing to do. When people ask me what I did, I'd say I'm an artist. They couldn't get away from me fast enough.
You are an artist, and I am in my own little way too. I just didn't want to have anything to do with what I saw. What I saw freaked me out. What I heard freaked me out. Drunk senators under ice sculptures, drinking vodka out of the beak of an eagle. I mean, I was like, are you freaking kidding me over here with this behavior? Do you think I'm not going to say anything about it? Really? So
God, I know.
Right.
It's a horrible place.
It is a horrible place. Anyway, I love you like crazy. Thank you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Babe. Bye, babe. So that is my friend, Robin in Harlem. We both hated it in Washington. I'm telling you, the things that you see, that these people that you revere, and honestly, the crap I saw, it is bizarro world there. And you can't be me and live there when I had a microphone in my hand every day and expect me not to say what I freaking saw. And that was the problem for the Howard. That was the big problem for the Howard. Sorry. That's why I made him quit. I'm like, here's your choice. Keep taking me to these freaking lobbyists' house and keep showing me, Republican senators drinking vodka out of the beak of ice sculpture eagles. Okay? Keep taking me to people that, don't let you smoke in their house but are lobbying for, a big tobacco. This is so crazy. And these dinner parties, oh my God, the things how they're going to plot and plan and scheme and delegitimize all Republicans, all of them, because they're the ones with the money to hire the lobbyists. See, that's how that goes. Just vile. And I couldn't take it. I thought Robin was part of that but no, she was like me, a long-suffering artiste. Yeah.
Clear. Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Want to see something really evil and maniacal and ugly? This is the preacher, the prosperity preacher, Ken Copeland.
The media said what? The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha
Oh my God. That is the creepiest clip. I've seen a lot of clips of a lot of different freaky things. Karen's gone. And Karen, by the way, is spelled with a Q, just so you know, in case your name is Karen with a C or a K. No, Karen's with a Q. But Ken Copeland, that was the freakiest, most maniacal, most manipulative, most evil, most despicable thing I ever aired on this show, I think. And that they zero in on a black man laughing. The media said Joe Biden. Ha! Ooh! It gives me chills. It's literally a visceral reaction I have to evil. It's like he is Satan. Okay, that he has embodied the serpent, and that they are one. That was the creepiest thing. Howard was, listening to that. Like I said, he goes, in the great room and he watches his TV, and I'm in my office doing my thing. And I hear this over and over and over and over and over. I'm like, what are you watching? And he shows it to me. I'm like, oh, send that to me. Send it. This is the America we live in, where your spouse is in the other room and he's emailing you. Okay? That's weird. But it was so creepy. Oh. So I have no idea. Robin, this is the thing. 70 million people feel this way. Donald Trump is still the president. The balance of control of the Senate, the damn Senate. If we don't have the Senate, we don't get health care. If we don't have the Senate, we don't get justice reform, okay? We don't get any of our priorities. We don't get climate change initiatives. We don't get money for infrastructure. We don't get a stimulus package for COVID. We don't get anything if we don't have the Senate. And it's going to happen on January 5th. And Donald Trump will still be the president on January 5th. That is the sickest freaking thing I could tell you. Now, John Ossoff was on the TV, and he knows that the Republican Party is fighting over, like what to do, because the Republican Party knows that with the Senate, America moves forward. With the Senate, America makes progress. With the Senate, the very wealthy will have to pay a little teensy bit more in order to move us into the 21st century. He knows this.
The first stage is denial. I mean, the incumbent president has just been defeated by a popular vote margin not seen since FDR defeated Hoover in 1932. Georgia rejected Donald Trump's bid for re-election. The people of the United States rejected Donald Trump's bid for re-election. And at some point, some folks in the GOP are going to have to raise their hand and say, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need an orderly transition of power to save lives and get this economy on track. So indulging the president's temper tantrum as he's dragged kicking and screaming out of the White House is probably not a good use of time. And it's probably not helpful to the Republican Party's long-term political prospects. But right now, they're still in denial and they're fighting amongst themselves
about what to do, because they know the Senate hangs in the balance. And John Ossoff, the man right there, is part of their problem. Part of their problem. They must defeat him so that progress can be stopped. And he needs to say that, and so does Reverend Warnock. He needs to say it too. These two candidates need to come out. Now, Georgia, it's an amazing map. When you look at the map, you can see blue starts creeping into places where it was, used to be red. You can see Nevada. You can see Arizona flipping, okay, going blue. And then when you look at the East Coast, which, you have the Northeast, which is always blue. Why? Because people there live in cities and read newspapers and have to function in a very busy, very hectic world. They have to raise their kids just like everybody else, but the world is very fast for them, and they want progress. They crave progress. They need progress. They need all the kinds of things that Democrats, they want electoral reform. We have to get rid of the Electoral College. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, he knows that, right? He knows that. But we still have one more election. And it will be on January 5th, and it will be while Donald Trump is president. And Donald Trump is going to have rallies. You watch. He's just in denial right now. That's why he doesn't say anything. He doesn't know how to present himself yet. He will not present himself as I lost. He will never say to his people, we fought a good fight, and it was a tough slog, and I thank you 70 million for voting for me. He will never, but you know what? It's over, and it's time to pass the torch, because, and we want Joe Biden to succeed, because if Joe Biden succeeds, America succeeds. He's never going to say that. He's going to say he was robbed, it was fraudulent, it was rigged, it was a hoax, everything that was perpetrated upon you was done to you, and I had to pay the ultimate price. I'm the ultimate victim here, and you have to assuage, you have to remedy what's been wrong here. That's what he's going to do. Because he's evil like Ken Copeland there. You can see it. You can taste it. You can smell it. I smell the sulfur. You remember when Alex Jones said that he smells sulfur when he stands next to Hillary Clinton? He smells sulfur when he stands next to Barack Obama. I smell sulfur when I stand next to Ken Copeland, which I never have done and never could because my skin would crawl. Doug in Washington.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
So I'm the one that sent you the link to the University of Washington vaccine research.
Oh, the llama.
Which, yeah. I hope you read it because it's, aside from the actual outcome.
I did. They're adorable.
After the outcome, aside from the outcome of the election, I think that's one of the most hopeful things I've read. So moving all these high-level staffers around at the Pentagon, people are thinking he's going to make some sort of move. But the careerists, underneath them, don't you think that they'll stand up to him and not do, any illegal or crazy orders?
You can only hope.
Well, I mean, you were in the military, and the at the level underneath these appointees,
I was an aircraft mechanic. Okay, let's not confuse me with somebody who sets policy or calls in airstrikes. Okay, I was an aircraft mechanic.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, here's another clip of John Ossoff last night on Lawrence O'Donnell.
Do you want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to come to Georgia to help?
Absolutely. And here's the bottom line. With the Senate, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris can lead us out of this pandemic and invest in economic recovery. With the Senate, we can pass criminal justice reform and strengthen voting rights. With the Senate, we can invest in clean energy and save our environment and make investments in infrastructure. With the Senate, we can protect Roe v. Wade and the privacy of women's health care. Without the Senate, we can do none of those things. And that's why the stakes are so high in Georgia right now, and why I'm asking folks across the country to help us win these races and visit electjon.com to chip in $1 to help us get out the vote here.
That's what you should do. Robin has a postcard writing campaign that she's very involved in, telling people what day to vote and when to vote and who to vote for and blah, blah, blah. These things are all possible. These things can all occur if we have the Senate, because we have the House. Small, I think we lost 6 seats in the House, but we still have the majority there, which means we have all of the committees, right, where all the committee chairs go to the majority. Same thing where Mitch McConnell could be the minority leader. You don't even know who some of you don't even know who the Democratic minority leader in the Senate is. It's Chuck Schumer. But, honestly, everybody knows Mitch McConnell because he is the impediment to progress for every working person in this country, for every parent in this country that wants their kids in school without a COVID pandemic, for every person who wants, racial justice in this country because they're sick of having the talk with their kid about policing and all the. It's all possible. Everything is possible with the Senate. Without the Senate, we're just stuck in limbo all over again. Mitch McConnell will actually do nothing. He will block every effort, just like when we won the House in 2018, but we did not win the Senate. Nancy Pelosi, H.R. 1, was a bill to stop all of the dark money, to make voting easier, all kinds of reforms ahead of a 2020 election that would have been greatly appreciated. But Mitch McConnell let it sit there. She's got a COVID relief package that she passed back in May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months, that bill sits on Mitch McConnell's desk. Nothing has been done. Nothing. That's what you can expect. And that's what they will do, because they'll then tell you Biden got nothing done, even though Trump got nothing done. Nothing. A tax cut. That's what he got done. Who won the trade war? Us or China? Huh? Yeah, we didn't really have one. It was a lie. Everything he ever said he did was a lie, except for repealing environmental protection laws and then declaring we have the cleanest water and we have the cleanest air, which is a lie. We had 29 freaking hurricanes this season. 29. Anyway, I think Obama ought to go down to Georgia. I think Biden ought to go down to Georgia. I think Kamala Harris ought to go down to Georgia. Stacey Abrams is in Georgia. I think there should be just as big of an effort for this Senate election as there was for the general. Donald Trump will not be indicted ahead of January 5th because he will still be the president of the United States. And that is when this special election happens. After that, when Donald Trump is indicted, and he will be indicted for money laundering through law firms to pay off Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal And God help us, maybe money laundering through banks for foreign nations. We don't know. Definitely for bank fraud and tax fraud, because he misrepresented what his assets were worth when it came to getting loans, and then underplayed what they were worth when it came to paying taxes. So that's fraud, bank fraud, and tax fraud. So he'll be indicted there. And don't forget the Mueller report. No matter what the Republicans want to tell their people about, it didn't produce any actionable criminal complaints. Bull. Perjury. Robert Mueller testified that Donald Trump was not truthful in his written answers. And 10 counts of obstruction of justice. God only knows what else is there, okay? You got the E. Jean Carroll case where Bill Barr wanted to insert us, the American people, as the defendant in the E. Jean Carroll case. That failed. So Donald Trump is now the lone defendant. That will go forward. There's all this stuff. Now, if Donald Trump is indicted and Donald Trump is on trial, and if they listen, I have very strong feelings about this trial. If Donald Trump is indicted and it's, it goes to a jury trial, he'll cop a plea. I don't know. Beg for mercy. Who the hell knows what he'll do? But if it goes to trial, we need to televise that trial. That trial needs to be on television, just like the OJ trial. Needs to be on TV. People need to see and hear all the evidence that's been collected over these 4 years. If Donald Trump is indicted and Donald Trump is convicted, or Donald Trump pleads guilty, or whatever happens there, that is when the Republican senators will give it up, and not a minute before, not a second before. Because until and unless he is neutered in that way as a criminal, and branded, and maybe it's a RICO violation, maybe it's a racketeering and influence corrupt organization case that can be brought, maybe it is. But until that happens, Donald Trump commands the minds of 70 million Americans, which is dangerous. It's ludicrous. It needs to be nipped in the, it needs to end. It needs to be demonstrated. And once it is, you know what happens to those people? I've been around long enough to know. All of a sudden they call you up and they go, I was never really that into him. I really wasn't. I mean, I voted for him because I thought, let me give him a chance. It was something new, a reality TV star. Let's see what he could do. He said he was a businessman, and then I found out he just played one on TV. That's what'll happen. That's what happened with W. That's exactly what happened with W. I spit out my spleen for Al Gore. And then after the war was a abject fit. Oh, no, I didn't really like him. I just gave him a chance, and I this and I that. Please, after September 11th, all the American flags and all of the support for W, all of a sudden it went away. It went away, and they were never really that into him. That's what happens. But it only happens when you can show that person that gave loyalty to a criminal or to a failure or to a loser. You have to show that person that the person that they gave their loyalty to was actually a loser, a failure, made bad decisions for the country. Otherwise, we're stuck. We're stuck with a country that is split in two. We're stuck with a madman who will have a stage, a giant one. So there you have it. I mentioned to you that we have the results of the Pennsylvania postal worker who alleged that they were backdating ballots. His allegations of fraud were being quoted by every Republican. Lindsey Graham, Bill Barr opened up an investigation into the postmaster general in Pennsylvania, blah, 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 right? Turns out this guy he's an ex-Marine who can't find his way. He has had a lot of temporary jobs. You know the dude. You know that kind of a guy, right? He recanted. He was interviewed by the United States Postal Service Inspector General. And the United States Postal Service Inspector General asked him, where is your evidence that you heard this? Do you have anybody that also heard that? And he recanted. He said it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Now, this guy had a GoFundMe page that was put up by Project Veritas. The convicted criminal, James O'Keefe. You see, this is the level to which these people go, okay? They go all the way down to James O'Keefe. Anyway, Barr opened up this federal investigation. The Inspector General actually investigated the fraud claim. And it turned out that the federal employee is a pathological liar. And by that, I mean Lindsey Graham. GoFundMe took down his GoFundMe page as soon as the Washington Post exposed this ruse. So you do have these lone groups, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, this crazy postal worker, that are willing to lie about fraud so that this country cannot heal, you see. That's where we are. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 70 days, but that's what you need to know.
Mary, how does the man We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No. It's not that I have not seen. Nobody has ever seen this. This really is an outrage. And this is why I work so hard, the progressive community worked so hard in this election. Because what we knew this campaign, this election was about, it's not just climate change or criminal justice reform or the economy. It is whether or not we continue to have a president in Donald Trump who is a pathological liar, who really is trying to move this country beyond the rule of law. And that is something that we cannot accept. And thank God we were able to defeat him.
Your colleague, Senator Chris Coons, a Democrat from Delaware, told CNN he's hearing from some of his Republican colleagues who wish to congratulate President-elect Biden, but say they can't do that publicly yet. Are you having similar conversations with Republicans behind the scenes?
Look, absolutely. The average Republican senator is not an idiot. They understand that, that Trump has lost. But one of the other things that we should all be nervous about and fearful about is the degree to which Trump intimidates and scares the hell out of Republican members of Congress. They are afraid to stand up to him. So you got a party, not of individuals, but almost a cult-type party, where members of the Senate who know better, not just on this issue, on many other issues, they'll come up to you privately and say, yeah, Trump's a little bit crazy. But, So, I think I would hope, the Republicans won't take my advice anyhow, I know that, but I would hope that they get the courage to stand up as individuals, represent their constituencies, and do not live in fear of Donald Trump. It's not a good thing.
Oh, for God's sake.
In fear of Donald Trump. They live in fear of Donald Trump. They don't live in fear of Donald Trump. They live in fear of Donald Trump's voters. They need Donald Trump's voters. They want Donald Trump's voters, and that's why they won't develop the courage to defend democracy over Donald Trump. Period. End of story. John Nichols at The Nation crunched some numbers for us. It is pretty overwhelming. Trump got trounced. He got trounced. He got less of the percentage of the popular vote this election than Jimmy Carter got in 1980 when he lost to Ronald Reagan. 1980, that was my first election, my very first election. I believe that while I was still in line, Jimmy Carter conceded. I think that's what happened. No, honestly, this is amazing. I mean, the amount of votes that went for Joe Biden is insane. So, why can't Donald Trump take a page from Jimmy Carter? Because he's no Jimmy Carter. That's why. Jimmy Carter was a businessman. Jimmy Carter is a businessman. And Jimmy Carter was a fabulous ex-president, He conceded graciously, and then he went on to build homes for poor people. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Donald Trump conceding gracefully and going on to build homes for poor people? You know, that would be the first successful build that Donald Trump was ever part of, that he didn't just slap his name on top of. You know, that's where we are. That's what we're doing. It seems like the only state left, because Arizona, 2 more news organizations called it for Arizona. It's done. Okay, Arizona, margin of 11,000 votes. That's very similar to the amount of votes that Donald Trump won last time in Wisconsin, right? 11,000 votes. So nobody screamed for a recount. Nobody said, "Oh, it's only 11,000 votes. Let's not concede." That did not happen. The hypocrisy of this party is so tangible and knowable because it's on tape. Here you have the Trump crowd. I don't know what to call them anymore. The Trump sycophants, the Trump pansies. Here you have them on tape in 2016. Now remember, Hillary Clinton conceded within 24 hours. She needed a brief moment, remember? And she had to go for a walk in the woods. Remember that? She had to go for a walk. Can you imagine Donald Trump going for a walk in the... A walk. He would do it with a golf cart. So much for nature, you know? But here they are in 2016. Just, love on this.
You have people out there calling for recounts that are unsubstantiated based on no evidence. This was a legitimate election, and no one should question the fact that Donald Trump is the president-elect.
It's a fascinating group of these Democrats who can't seem to realize that it is time to move on. It is time to accept the fact that Trump will be the next president of the United States.
Hillary is on her sore loser tour, and now we have her going through recounts. You know what she needs to do? She needs to get over it. She lost. Yeah. Get out of the way and let Donald Trump be president.
Do you think the Democrats are sore losers? Yeah, I do.
The reality is they're a bunch of spoiled crybabies.
Newsflash for many of the partisan Democrats and those in the mainstream media who continue to try to delegitimize President-elect Trump's massive and historic win last month. The election's over. Hillary Clinton lost. You have to win 270 electoral votes to be elected president, and President-elect Trump actually got 306. This is all really just an effort to try to delegitimize the win.
The left's going to lie. The left's going to besmirch. They're going to go crazy.
Now.
They can't accept the election results, let alone the fact that he's actually going to solve problems.
They have to decide whether they're going to interfere with him finishing his business, interfere with the peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Pence, or if they're going to be a bunch of crybabies and sore losers about an election that they can't turn around.
This is America. We live in a democracy. Everybody, when they woke up in the morning, was registered to vote, could go choose. So how about respecting the majority that also live here, and their vote should count?
Shame on you. They have no moral compass, okay? They just none. It's just so unbelievable. So, go for a long walk in the woods. Try not to get lost. That is how fumfering and phenomenally inadequate these people are. It's wow, wow. And here was Hillary, and here was Obama, and all the Democrats in 2016 saying it's time for the transition. Here it is.
We must accept this result and then look to the future. Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead.
So I have instructed my team to follow the example that President Bush's team set 8 years ago and work as hard as we can to make sure that this is a successful transition for the president-elect.
I want to offer my congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump and wish him well for the American people.
Well, of course, we're all very disappointed, not more than disappointed, hard to accept the results, but accept we do. The peaceful transfer of power is what America and our democracy is about.
What was so hard about that? What is so hard about that for them? What is so hard about that? It seems like the only place that they can win is, the state of denial. They got victory in the state of denial, and there he runs unopposed. Maybe a state of emergency? I don't know. He wins in a state of emergency. The country is literally stricken with COVID. I mean, it's everywhere now. But it seems like the State Department is the only state that he actually has support in. Pompeo is standing in the way of the messages from foreign leaders that have been delivered through the State Department, which is the normal route to get to a president-elect or a president of the United States or a vice president-elect or a vice president of the United States. Foreign leaders go through the State Department because they have translation capability. They record everything. You know, it's all out in the open kind of thing. But the State Department is literally blocking even the congratulatory open-sourced, messages from the entire world to Joe Biden and Kamala. This is just, I swear to God. So I don't know what his end game is. It's not clear. But whatever it is, it'll look like the Keystone Cops, okay? Because he's a moron. Like I said, if he went for a walk in the woods, he would get lost on a golf cart. Nature. No, this is really sad. But remember, all his evil schemes are half-assed. Like, if Darth Vader was played by Adam Sandler.
Clarity at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
A Republican, he said, listen, give Joe Biden the presidential daily brief. After all, Senator Harris she's on the Intel committee. She's getting, she has high-level security access. Has the president considered that?
I haven't spoken to the president about that. That would be a question more for the White House, but I will say that all laws are being followed with regard to an expected transition, though we expect to continue on as the Trump administration. We will see how our litigation goes.
What world are they in? I mean, like I said, it's got to be the state of denial. It's so amazing how they confront for him like this. She has to refer the question. The Republican senator is James Lankford of Oklahoma, who said, it's time to give the president-elect the presidential daily briefing so we don't have any sort of lag time, let's put it that way, in passing the torch of the intelligence community from one administration to the other for the safety and the protection of the United States of America and all of its forces around the world. That's what James Lankford is saying out loud. Today, Lindsey is preparing to unsuck himself from Donald Trump and start sucking off of the next person in power because Lindsey is a parasite. Is what he is. He just goes wherever the power is and he just latches on and blood sucks, for the rest of the power term. But what is she talking about? It's Kayleigh McEnany sitting there saying Joe Biden isn't going to get the PDBs. But that's a question for the White House. Is she not getting the memo that she works at the White House? What is that big white building behind her? What is that? Some ornate public library? What is that? That is the White House. We expect to continue on as the Trump administration. Oh, right. And I expect that General George Custer will continue as the commander of the 7th Cavalry. What the hell world are you in? Where do you toil? Where does your brain go? I don't even understand it. And then they asked her, well, are you thinking of flipping electors? Is that what you're doing?
State legislatures would then, because they would not be certified, would then appoint pro-Trump electors who would swing the Electoral College in his favor.
Do you have COVID?
It's unclear exactly how seriously the campaign is taking that. How seriously is the campaign considering that?
Well, constitutionally, that is an accurate argument. It is the state legislatures that choose the electors. But right now, they're zeroed in completely on litigation.
Oh, my God. Self-respecting lawyers are currently too embarrassed to work for the Trump re-election team. Did you hear what I just said? Self-respecting lawyers are too embarrassed to work for the Trump re-election team. They are political lawyers. Do you know how hard it is for them to feel shame? I live with one. Oh, my God. Wow. Do you know how impossible it is for political lawyers to feel embarrassed or shame when you're telling me that people who have Jeffrey Epstein on their resumes are too embarrassed to work for Donald Trump? Is that what you're saying? Oh my God. Wow. So, oh my, this is, whoa. Whoa. Holy. Now, I have to correct her. The Constitution doesn't say that the legislature picks the electors. No, it doesn't say that at all. You can go read it. It's in the Constitution, okay? What it says is the legislature of the states select the manner in which the electors are selected, and they already have done that. See, and the manner that they have chosen those state legislatures is the people. The people vote in their states as directed by the state legislatures under their rules that they have voted for and passed and then sent to their governors for a signature. That then is the manner the state legislatures have chosen for the states to select their electors. This is a bogus argument. I don't want anybody to spend any time thinking about it or grieving over it or any of the other thing. It's just, it's not possible, okay? It is impossible. Some secretaries of state, some attorneys general of some states, some city commissioners and other people, some state legislators have come out and said there is zero way in this state or that state or this state for the legislature to defy the majority vote that's already happened in our state. There are people that are saying things out loud now. There are plenty of Republicans. Here's the Arizona Attorney General. His name's Mark Brnovich, okay? And this was him yesterday. And this is before two other news outlets. Now, CNN still hasn't called Arizona. Don't ask me why. But he said, you know, there's no, he's trying to tell the Fox News audience, that's where he was, that there is no chance that Arizona is going to go for Donald Trump. The state has flipped. It is gone from a red state to a blue state. That is something that, I don't know, the history that I'm aware of. Arizona went from red to blue in 1996. It's now 2020, okay, for Bill Clinton. Prior to that, from what I have read, Arizona went from red to blue in 1948 for Harry Truman. Other than that, Arizona has voted Republican. Except not this time either. For Donald Trump, no. For Joe Biden, Arizona flipped.
The really short answer to this, Neil, is that on election night, if you looked at the numbers, and a lot of people that are really good at politics and polling here had said that it was possible for the president to come back. And as the numbers started returning, the president started making some gains. But the reality is right now, there's, less than 50,000 votes to count, and the president would have to get about 65% of them to win Arizona. So it does appear that Joe Biden will win Arizona. That being said, our office had received more than 1,000 complaints shortly after the election dealing with bleed-throughs and people using Sharpies. We looked into that. We were able to determine that did not affect anyone's vote. They also did a random audit of 2% of the precincts, and it came back 100%, that there wasn't any statistical anomalies or errors. As to the lawsuit that was filed, we are literally talking about less than 200 votes that are in question and doubt. So the reality is, even if it was possible that those votes flip, those 200 votes, I do not think it will make a difference in Arizona just because of the numbers.
Snell Wilmer, which was the largest law firm representing Donald Trump's campaign in Arizona, they just withdrew. They're not going to represent him anymore. Do you know how hard that is? Do you have any idea? These are political lawyers, I swear to God, I can't even believe it. But this is historic. You understand, this is a rout. Arizona flipped, and it flipped on election night, and that's how we knew.
Call in, connect. Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Here's the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania.
Look, bottom line, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, the president would be on deck to have a better Thanksgiving than he's going to have. You know, math doesn't care about his feelings, doesn't care about anyone's feelings. The math in Pennsylvania is damning for the president. Like, these contested late ballots, 10,000, like, oh no, we're going to take that to the Supreme Court. Like, take it to the Supreme Court. You know what? Spot the president, all 10,000 for all I care. Because the vice president is going to be up 50, 60,000 votes when all the counting is done, if not more. The bottom line is that there is no truth to any of this. And at some point, we all have to collectively accept that yelling voter fraud when there is no evidence whatsoever of it is yelling fire in a crowded theater, and it is harming the democratic franchise of our country and the peaceful transition of power, and we cannot accept that.
It's just that basic, but, these poor sheep, I feel so bad. It's, they've been part of a death cult. They've been willing to die for this man. You have to appreciate how deep it goes with them. But, they've been fleeced so many times by this man that I'm surprised they don't have razor burn like the born agains. They were born again so many times. They have razor rash. You know what I'm saying? It's a bizarre cognitive dissonance. They have been living in a bubble of lies. And the people of the United States have voted to expose those lies. They have chosen not to continue with a pandemic, with it will magically go away, with what if we injected lightsabers up our bum, or what if we ate, a disinfectant, or chewed on Tide Pods, or hydroxychloroquine. Take it. Most Americans are not that, fleeceable. We're just not that naive. But his election, his followers, and there is one last heist going on. There is still one last heist. He's doing one more caper. I don't know if you know this or not, but he's got a sort of a political action committee, where you give money to him to bring these frivolous lawsuits, which, by the way, a lot of lawyers, you know why they're withdrawing? Because they know that while Donald Trump is going to magically go away, so will their law license if they keep bringing frivolous cases. There is due diligence that is required of a lawyer. And by due diligence, I mean they have to know whether or not there is a better than 50% chance of evidence supporting their claim of fraud. And they know that there is no chance, there is a 0% chance that they can produce evidence of fraud that would affect the outcome of any election they are contesting in any of these states, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Arizona. That's why all these law firms are withdrawing, because they have to argue before a court, and the court will make a note of it. And you know who else will make a note of, lawyers that bring frivolous lawsuits? The defendant that they're suing. They'll say, oh, you know what? This guy, he does slap suits, or this guy, he does frivolous lawsuits. We don't even have to bother because the judge is going to dismiss it. See, these people have to continue to practice law, and they have to continue to be part of the code of ethics, or they will lose their law license. And that's what's happening, and that's why they're all withdrawing. But the donors to Donald Trump's, bring these lawsuit things, Arizona for Biden, it's a scheme. It's an actual scheme to fleece his followers one more time, and just one last heist, one last caper, right? Because the money that people gave to support Donald Trump's lawyers, who are withdrawing in droves, is actually going not toward invalidating the election, but it's going toward invalidating the debt that the Trump campaign has. Now, what's really interesting about the debt is they hardly did any TV stuff. I mean, they didn't spend a whole lot of money. So where did the money go? Where did it go? But in the small print, in the fine print, in the legalese section of the, when the donors donate, there's a fine print at the end, and it says that if you give less than $8,000, then none of the money that you donate goes to the fight to invalidate the election. It either goes toward invalidating Trump's massive debt, or it goes toward a political action committee, because Trump has the delusional fantasy that he's going to run again at 77 years old in 2024. Now, this is where my friend Robin is correct. By 2024, he should be in prison. I think that's kind of where he'll end up. But this is unbelievable that he's trying to rip off his supporters one more time. So read the fine print, everybody. Here's what it says. Okay, he's going to send you an email or a text message, right? And it's going to say they're trying to, all caps, steal this election. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, I promise you, my team is fighting the clock to, in caps, defend the integrity of this election, but we cannot do it alone. We need every patriot like you to step up and make sure we have the resources to keep going. Please contribute, in all caps, any amount right now to defend the election. But there's a link that is provided that says Official Election Defense Fund. And at the end, the legalese, the fine print says 60% of the contribution up to $5,000 goes to Save America, Trump's leadership PAC. And 40% of the contribution up to $35,500 goes to the Republican National Committee's operating account. It's political fund, not its legal fund. It's political fund. Only after reaching the second maximum amount, $35,500, would 1 penny go towards the legal account. Now, this is also important when you consider that it's very hard to get a political lawyer to have any shame or about any of this, but they know they're going to get stiffed. Don't you see? They know they're not going to get paid. And also, judges are laughing them out of the courtroom. It's straight up bait and switch for the people. It's a slush fund, okay? Just to use ordinary words, it's a slush fund. And it's there so that Donald Trump can extend his influence over the Republican National Committee. Okay, that's what it's there for. But the debt, you paid for it. It's already been zeroed out. All the money you gave to his legal defense fund has zeroed out and retired the debt. So he's been stealing the whole time. He used the presidency to self-enrich, right? Taxpayer dollars, we're paying for $6,000 for flowers, $7,000 for a dinner at Trump Properties. On and on it goes. They're shorn, these sheep. Shorn.
Clear. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
What evidence of any widespread fraud have you seen in the count in Philadelphia?
I have not. If evidence of widespread fraud or evidence of any fraud at all is brought to our attention, we take a look at it and we refer it to law enforcement, as we always do in every election. I have seen the most fantastical things on social media, making completely ridiculous allegations that have no basis in fact at all, and see them spread. And I realize a lot of people are happy about this election, and a lot of people are not happy about this election. One thing I can't comprehend is how hungry people are to consume lies and to consume information that is not true.
What information is not true? To be clear.
Just the other day, I saw something that had it was a long list of people that they said were dead voters who voted in Philadelphia. So when we took a break between everything else that we're doing, we looked it up, each one of them, to see what their vote history was. Not a single one of them voted in Philadelphia after they died.
Oh! Not a single one. And of course, Fox News is breathlessly, saying dead people voted. Dead people voted. I want you to know dead people voted. And Donald Trump is saying, oh, there's been massive fraud and you need to give me money. And really what he's doing is he's running a slush fund. In the Nixon era, they called it the Committee to Re-elect the President. It was called CREEP for short. Well, that was a very unfortunate an acronym, but, CREEP. And it was a slush fund is what it was. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's trying to get a slush fund for his own benefit. And, listen, there's nothing strange about that for him. He has been stealing from us the entire time. The entire time. He has billed taxpayers for hotels and golf clubs, his hotels, his golf clubs, various properties around the world. Over the years, he used his charity for self-benefit, a charity that was ruled a fraud to the point where not only can't Donald Trump ever run a charity, but neither can his children. His children are barred from ever running a charity, or being in a position of honor on the board of a charity. He had hundreds of millions of dollars from creditors forgiven as he was president. And you know what we've paid for? This is according to the Washington Post, David Fairntold. Trump's properties have billed taxpayers $2.5 million for things like $7,000 for a dinner. A dinner. A dinner? What is that? I remember I was once at Cipriani's in New York, and there was a $25 hamburger on the menu, and I was like, what the hell is a $25 hamburger? $7,000 for a dinner. $17,000 a month for a cottage. A cottage. $6,000 for flowers. $650 a night hotel rooms, $1,000 for drinks for the White House staff, even the $3 drinking water we paid for at the president's hotels, at the president's golf clubs. Steve Bannon, too. Steve Bannon defrauded contributors to We Build the Wall. Remember that? And where was Steve Bannon arrested? He was arrested on a Chinese, all you people on China watch out there, he was on a Chinese billionaire's yacht. He stole $1 million from small donors who thought they were giving to We Build the Wall, that they were going to build the wall down in on the border. This is crazy. This is crazy. And people still fall for it. And just it does break my heart up to a point, and then it's time to smack yourself into reality. I know it's painful. I know it's hard for you to comprehend the truth after being fed a steady diet of lies. It's like if all you ever ate were French fries, and now all of a sudden the only thing you're allowed to eat is vegetables. It would freak you out. I get it. Time to wake up. Joe in Miami Gardens.
Oh, hello, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, Randy, you old yenta, you. Anyway, I remember the old joke, what's the plural of yenta? Hadassah?
Okay, the Jews are laughing. A full 0.1% of the audience is hysterical right now.
Right. Anyway, listen, I think, Randy, we better keep an eye on this creep that calls himself Trump. He's trying to get the military involved in some half-assed scheme to use them to try to pull some type of coup. And
what evidence do you have that is happening?
Well, what's in the news is he fired that Secretary Esper and
he fired he fired the Raytheon lobbyist. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but he's putting his cronies and suck-ups in positions of power, the Defense Department. And I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is that, we got to keep an eye on things, because with Trump, it's like the old cliche, we got to expect the unexpected. And, which I'm kind of on, tenterhooks until January 20th comes around. But one thing we definitely have to be grateful for is so far the predicted violence hasn't occurred. That all these stores boarded up their windows for nothing, and real fast. I believe with these two clowns. What's his name? Paul DeJoy with the post office and Lindsey Graham. They should both be indicted. The first one for stealing the mail, and the other one for soliciting campaign fund in the Senate office building in violation of federal law.
Those are two real things. The DeJoy thing and the Lindsey Graham thing. Those are real. Here's the thing with the military. He has gone after the civilian portion of the military, the Secretary of Defense, right? A couple of guys. Like I said, one of these guys, Frank Wuko, is a right-wing lunatic fringe conspiracy theorist talk show host from Tampa, Florida. He worked on WFLA in Tampa, okay? And none of this should surprise anybody, that he's doing this, that he's trying to leave nothing behind for Joe Biden to get a transition, going. Because who would want to be briefed by Frank Wuko? Do you know what I'm saying? Who in the Biden incoming administration would value anything that General Tata, okay, who tweets out the most suck on a pistol, to Joe Biden. I mean, just really heinous, disgusting, ugly things. The Biden administration doesn't need to be briefed by these guys. And so that's over there. And this is a big, like I said, if and buts were candy and nuts, you'd have a much better Thanksgiving. But if you see Donald Trump going after the Joint Chiefs, the uniformed military, if he tries to remove Milley or any of the, secretaries of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, like that, then you should, actually sit up and say, holy, whatever you're going to say. But right now, the uniformed military is not, I repeat, not going to attack Americans. It will not happen. I know everybody is freaked out. I'm freaked out that Donald Trump is leaving nothing behind, that he's doing a scorched earth. Today he purged a couple of people from the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, what he's leaving is a White House full of COVID. Okay, Corey Lewandowski got diagnosed today with COVID. I mean, all he's leaving is a diseased. It needs to be fumigated. Okay, everything needs to be literally fumigated after him. It's a disgrace. But if the uniformed military starts being fired or asked for resignations or whatever, that's what. Now, what I will say is Saturday in D.C., there's supposed to be a million MAGA march. I'll tell you what I know about that on the other side of the news, okay? It does involve militia guys and stuff like that. But remember, D.C. has gun laws.
Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there? It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It is definitely feels more like Moon over Parador, the movie, than it does a real coup. but this is a coup of sorts. We've never seen this in this country. This is a legitimate election, a fair election. Joe Biden has won the election. And every other year in the modern history of the country, the losing presidential candidate would have called, would have conceded. Everyone would have acknowledged it, and on we go. Right? That's what we do in America. So this is an outrageous situation.
But Steve, it's not a coup. It's cuckoo. So isn't this an opportunity for Mitch McConnell, for Mitt Romney, for others to say, now let's be a more moderate Republican Party. Let's find a way to work with Joe Biden. When we woke up on Sunday morning after this race was called and we saw loads of people dancing in the street, it wasn't necessarily because they loved Joe Biden and they hated Donald Trump. People were relieved to go back to normalcy, to possibly love thy neighbor again. Then couldn't this be an opportunity for the Republican Party to say, let's moderate again?
They
could leave him in the dust.
But they're not going to, because they remain terrified of him.
Right.
And they need that Trump voter, or so they believe, for example, in the Georgia special election. So we have 4 senators, to their credit, have acknowledged reality. Right. But no senators at this moment have taken to the floor of the Senate to decry the illiberalism of this, the undemocratic nature of this. You know, at the end of the day, it is cuckoo, but the party's been cuckoo for years, and it's going to get more cuckoo. Kelly Loeffler in Georgia has played footsies with the QAnon congressional candidate. Remember, there are more QAnon members in the Republican conference in the House of Representatives than there are minorities. The party's going to get more cuckoo over the next 4 years.
Oh, my God. So what I was telling you yesterday about my deduction, my conclusion, that the reason why Republican senators especially will not ask Trump to concede, will not have their Barry Goldwater moment where they walk over and tell him this is over. This is done. There is no path to 270 for you. People have spoken. It's done. Concede with grace and wish the country well if you can't wish Joe Biden well. The reason they won't do it is because there's still a Senate election. And that Senate election will determine for the next 2 years who controls the Senate. Whether or not Mitch McConnell becomes a minority leader and Chuck Schumer or somebody in the conference is voted majority leader for the Democrats. Whether or not we have a shot at an infrastructure package, we have a shot at health care reform, we have a shot at lowering the age for Medicare to 60, whether or not we have a shot at racial justice, whether or not we have a shot. That's why they won't. It's all about Georgia. And I told you that yesterday. They're not going to go quietly into that good night until Georgia is done. And that's January 5th. And Donald Trump will still be president on January 5th. And they want him to go, the devil. They want the devil to go down to Georgia looking for votes to steal. They're in a bind. They're way behind. They're willing to make a deal. And that is what is going on. And I told you that. And now everybody's going to tell you that. Now, I wanted to mention to you that there's supposed to be, one of our listeners sent me an email that she had heard, right, that there was going to be a MAGA rally, big MAGA rally in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. And I wrote her back, because I write everybody back, I wrote her back that I had not seen the police, the D.C. Metropolitan Police, pull a permit for anybody to have a rally or a parade or anything this Saturday in D.C. And that remains the truth to this minute. If it changes, I'll tell you. But the Oath Keepers and the 3%ers and the InfoWar fanatics, you know, the conspiracy theorists who literally believe that now, I mean, they don't know what to believe. You mean there's no pedophile ring at Comet Pizza Parlor and Ping Pong? Hillary's not running a pedophile ring? What do I do now? What do I do now? I don't know what's true. The Grapers, the Proud Boys, white nationalists, neo-Nazis, And people who simply call themselves diehard cult members are supposed to rally in resistance in D.C. on Saturday. Again, I have not seen D.C. Metropolitan Police okay a permit or anybody file for a permit. So we'll see what happens, to quote the president currently of the United States. We'll see what happens. Tune in next week. Let's run this like a reality TV show too. No, I don't know. I really have no idea, but, it is solely designed to create disruption, possibly chaos. That is why I'm not sure that the police in D.C. would. I haven't even seen them apply for a permit, so I don't even want to weigh in on it, except to tell you that D.C. has gun laws. This is not going to be like Michigan, where you carry a semi-automatic weapon into the Capitol and get right in police officers' faces and threaten to behead the governor ahead of finding out that those people had actually taken steps to kidnap her, try her for treason, for trying to protect Michigan from a COVID pandemic, and then kill her. But these are the dead end trolls, okay? And so, we'll keep our eye on it. Trust me, it will not be. You remember the women's march after Donald Trump got elected in D.C. Remember that? I mean, that was humongous. There were over 1 million women there. And remember the right made fun of us with, we had pink hats, right? I don't even like to say what we called them. But we had pink hats and we were, outraged because we knew that the president had bragged about assaulting women, grabbing us by our private parts and joking about it. We knew, and we understood that, he thought if you were a star, you can do anything to a woman. That's why women were out in the street. But I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday. I will tell you, the Proud Boys have been standing by. They've been standing back and standing by for a very long time. But they would just look stupid, It's not going to let Trump keep the White House. You know what would work? Boat parade. No. No, weren't the boat parades here in Palm Beach County, weren't those the things that swung the election toward Donald Trump in the first place? Wasn't that it? And isn't that the real reason why Joe Biden could never, ever be the real winner? Because nobody ever took a single boat on a single lake or in a single intracoastal or in a single ocean for Joe Biden. Boat parade. I hope you understand, people in a boat parade are people who can afford a boat. They can afford a freaking boat. You know what it costs to have a boat? You got to have a dock. You got to have, insurance. I mean, you have to own a boat. Who's got money for a freaking boat? We're trying to get stimulus money out for people who can't even go to work. I mean, this is crazy.
Come down to the parade. Join Buffy and I.
Yes, Buffy and I. We're going to have drinks, dirty martinis, extra olives, everybody. Oh, my God, a freaking boat? Let's just call it's MAGA Largo is what it is down there, okay? It's just, it's just, I don't know.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
As you know, Wolf, early on in the campaign, members of the Biden team and my team sat down on some of the major issues facing our country, the economy, healthcare, education, climate, etc., to see how we can work together to come up with proposals that, neither side necessarily agreed with, but which made sense for the American people, especially the working families of our country today who are suffering more than probably at any time since the Great Depression. And we hammered out agreement. So if your question is, do I expect that the Biden administration will do everything that Bernie Sanders believes? No, I don't. But do I expect that they will come forward and keep their word in maintaining and legislating on the proposals which we agree to? Yes, I do. And some of those proposals are very, very significant. You know, it means expanding health care to all Americans. It means lowering the Medicare age from 65 to 60. It means raising the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. It means making it easier for workers to form unions, equal pay for equal work, investing $2 trillion in combating climate change and creating millions of jobs as we move away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. So would I have gone further? Yes. Are those significant proposals that will protect the needs of working families? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are, everybody. Yes, they are. It's exactly the kind of progress we need to make. And it is something that can only happen if we have the Senate. And that is why the Republicans are so squeamish about letting go of Donald Trump. They need his voters, and they need them angry and agitated and believing a falsehood. They need them to believe that this election was not free, it was not fair, it was stolen from Donald Trump, it was rigged, it was, a fraud, everything. And for all these lawsuits, okay, that have been brought, there's been zero, squat, goose egg, donut, nada, zilch evidence attached to any of those lawsuits. I put up a transcript on my Twitter feed last night of one of the lawsuits in Pennsylvania. It's hysterical. I read them. And I went through one of them, and the judge is asking the Trump lawyer a specific question. He said, are you saying that he's talking about 200 ballots, which in Pennsylvania, there's a 50,000 vote margin for Joe Biden. All right. But he's asking him, these 200 ballots that you're so, sure are somehow, broken, fraudulent, are you alleging fraud? And the lawyer goes through this whole long explanation about, I really would hesitate, Your Honor, to call anybody a fraud because that would mean that they are a liar. And I don't like calling people liars. So, and the judge says, I'm asking you a specific question. Are you alleging fraud? No, Your Honor, I'm not. Are you alleging that anything in this lawsuit would affect the electors? No, Your Honor, I'm not. Bye-bye. See ya. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split ya. Bye-bye. And I posted that little transcript, okay? So here is where we are. Biden is the president-elect. Kamala Harris is the vice president-elect. Ron Klain, who is known to my family, he's a wonderful guy. Just in case you were wondering, is Ron Klain a good pick for the chief of staff for President-elect Biden? Yes, Ron Klain is an unbelievable guy with an amazing amount of experience. He's ready on day one. This is the beauty of having somebody with experience. Remember, Joe Biden was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. He doesn't need to be briefed by Frank Wuko of Tampa, Florida. They don't. Plus, please remember this, Kamala Harris is on the Intelligence Committee currently as a U.S. Senator. So she is getting briefed on intelligence matters. Okay? We are vulnerable, but we're not that vulnerable. Just saying. But Georgia is everything. It will determine whether or not we can have an increase in Social Security benefits, whether or not we will create new union jobs, like in clean energy sectors, right? Whether or not we will expand health care to more Americans, whether or not I will be able to buy into Medicare because I'm 60, right? Whether or not we can cancel billions of dollars of student loan debt, whether or not we can hold law enforcement accountable for bad behavior and stop saying, yeah, there are a few bad apples, but do nothing about those few bad apples. Whether or not we can raise taxes on the uber wealthy, whether or not we can increase corporate taxation just by a smidge, just by a little touch, a little tad, whether or not we can repeal what Trump gave them in 2017, which was permission to go offshore, make profits for an American company to go offshore, make profits over there, and not have to pay taxes on them, which incentivized companies to go over there. He did that. He told you a whole different story over and over and over again, that he was opening up factories and that car companies, and Shinzo and I talked and they opened. That none of that happened. It didn't happen. He said it, but it didn't occur. It isn't real. Whether or not we can have universal child care for people who have to work. Do you know what I'm saying? But we need the Senate to do it. So here is a wonderful, and this is in the homework today in case it goes by too fast for you or you're driving or whatever your deal is right now. There is in the homework today at randirhodes.com. This is free. Just go there. You'll see, right? You can click past that if you want to, or you can do something. And then go to the homework section. Click on homework. At the top of the page, you'll see homework. Click on it. And you'll see in the homework how to help Georgia Senate runoff races and flip the Senate blue. There are two people that need to be elected still, and they don't have an election until January 5th. That's Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. They need to win in Georgia. They are both running for Senate seats against two criminals. Kelly Loeffler, who is the richest, her husband owns the New York Stock Exchange. And she got this private COVID briefing and was able to sell short. Okay, they made a fortune. Same thing with Senator David Perdue. These are the Republican challengers. They have got to go. Perdue keeps voting to overturn the ACA, get rid of pre-existing conditions. He's voted for it like 5 times to do that. And then he's also gotten caught doing insider trading during the time of the pandemic. And Kelly Loeffler, like I said, her husband owns the New York Stock Exchange. She is literally the richest member of the Senate, and she's a special appointment. She bought that Senate seat. And she also wants to get rid of pre-existing condition protections. They have also disputed their own state's election results. They have called for the resignation of their own Republican Secretary of State based on frivolous, empty election fraud claims. Zero evidence, but they've called for the... All right, so I'm going to show you how to help.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. With the Senate, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris can lead us out of this pandemic and invest in economic recovery. With the Senate, we can pass criminal justice reform and strengthen voting rights. With the Senate, we can invest in clean energy and save our environment and make investments in infrastructure. With the Senate, we can protect Roe v. Wade and the privacy of women's health care. Without the Senate, we can do none of those things. And that's why the stakes are so high in Georgia right now, and why I'm asking folks across the country to help us win these races and visit electjon.com to chip in $1 to help us get out the vote here.
All right, so that's Jon Ossoff, okay, and he is running against David Perdue, who's a criminal, and he called him out at the debate. Ossoff did. He called out Senator Perdue for ignoring COVID when he was briefed and decided to use that information not to protect Georgians or not to, make a stink about how we needed to do testing. We had to get tests out really fast to everybody so they could, know whether or not to isolate or could they continue to go to work, right? Anyway, that's Jon Ossoff. So Jon Ossoff is asking for $1, all right? Now, if you're in Georgia, everything is on the line here. I swear to God, paid family leave, SNAP benefits, access to health care, union jobs, clean energy, just everything, Social Security benefits, all this stuff is on the line. And it takes a Senate, as you know, because Mitch McConnell tables everything. So we get no progress. So if you live in Georgia, you can get involved from either knocking on doors to hosting an event at your house. You can attend rallies. You can keep campaign staffers housed. But there is an organization in Georgia called Outvote. And that helps Georgians who support Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff to get their friends and their families to the polls. You can also start using the hashtag #WhyI'mVotingWarnock. And that's not limited to Georgia. That we can all do so that all Americans can have all of our issues at least considered by the United States Senate. The Georgia Democratic Party is also looking for volunteers. They need poll monitors. They need ballot processing monitors. You see how hard a job this really is. Now that you have seen the live stream in the count rooms of these people who are processing, and now they have to go back in Georgia. They're going to do a hand recount of every single piece of paper. Every single piece of paper. So they need poll workers for the January 5th runoff. Fair Fight, Stacey Abrams Voter Participation, Education, and Rights Organization. They're also looking for local volunteers in Georgia for similar tasks. Now, if you're outside of Georgia, there's plenty for us to do. I will use my social media, which is not, I don't have 1 million followers. I have about 60,000 followers, something like that. But I will use whatever I have to amplify this race, the importance of it, why we need to pay attention, and how we can help from out of state to support winning the Senate for all Americans. Okay, so use your social media. Rapid response. There's a rapid response team that the Warnock campaign has. And if you go to Warnock's website, you'll see the rapid response team. They will give you the content, and you can amplify that content on your social media. Jon Ossoff is running daily phone banks. You can participate in them virtually no matter where you live. Now, maybe yesterday you heard me talking to my friend Robin in Harlem. She's involved in the Georgia Postcard Project. Now, that is a grassroots initiative, okay? And what you do is you write postcards to registered Democrats in Georgia. And you can get this information from either of the campaigns. And you just send a little postcard with January 5th on it, and you underline the importance of voting in these runoff races for Democrats. You can even just bullet point like what is on the ballot, like expanding health care, cancel billions of dollars in student loan debt, holding bad apples in law enforcement accountable, social justice, whatever you could bullet point it on a little postcard and drop it in the mail. Okay. There are plenty of places to donate. Okay. You can directly donate to Jon Ossoff, elect John, right? Jon. You can donate to the Warnock campaign. You can donate to Georgia Democrats. Georgia Stand Up is another place you can give $1. Fair Fight. And there are a number of organizations on the ground that will work to get out that vote on January 5th. So if you're able to donate, some of the organizations that could use financial support are Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta. They will be mobilizing voters, and they will protect voting rights. Black Voters Matter Fund, virtual and in-person volunteer opportunities there. The New Georgia Project, they register and mobilize, and they can still get new voters. They can still register and mobilize young voters. Sister Song, that's an Atlanta-based women of color reproductive justice collective. They're organizing women of color, trans women, and other marginalized women to run for various offices. And then there's always the good old-fashioned way. There's merch, okay? There's merchandise, right? You just can't wear this to the polls. You can't wear political gear to the polls. But no matter where you live, you can support Warnock and Ossoff by buying their official campaign T-shirts or bumper stickers or whatever. there is an Atlanta-based marketer named Sarah Price, and she started, this is such a good slogan, Warnock your ass off. Okay. And she's selling Warnock your ass off merchandise. And she started as soon as it was clear that there was going to be a runoff, and 100% of the proceeds from all the sales of Warnock your ass off t-shirts, sweatshirts, yard signs are split 50-50 for each of the two campaigns. And they will also refer you directly to Fair Fight to support the campaigns in any additional capacity that you might want to. So there are ways to do this from within Georgia, obviously, and ways to do it from without. And it's very important because the Senate is going to determine how successful the presidency, the incoming, is going to be. Now, we could have another repeat of the last years of Obama where the Senate just, blocked, the word I want to use, blocked everything. You could have another, Mitch McConnell Senate where nothing gets done except for packing courts. That's all they care about. Or you can have a Senate that actually talks about and does something for working people. All working people. Because when you get a $15 an hour minimum wage, which, by the way, Biden can do through an executive order for federal employees, but not for the rest of us. But if you got a $15 minimum wage, as the law in the United States of America, it wouldn't be just for Democrats. It would be for all working Americans.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
When Congressman Lewis marched across that bridge 55 years ago, it was so that we, the people, could have moments like this one.
Something special and transformational is happening right here in Georgia. The people have spoken.
Change has come to Georgia. Change is coming to America.
I've been standing up for ordinary people, decent, hard-working people my entire life, and I'm not about to stop now. Because I've always been clear about who I'm running for. I know what this campaign and this moment and this movement is all about.
This is about human lives, human decency. We're all Americans. We're all in this together.
I submit that we're all we've got.
We have all the momentum. We have all the energy.
And I stand tonight to tell you I'm ready to go to work.
Y'all ready to work? We're just getting started.
So we must stand together. We must fight together. We must struggle together. We must pray together. We must stay together. We must stick together. It's night right now, but morning will surely come.
That's beautiful. I love that. That is a joint effort with Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock running for these two seats in the Senate that could change the direction of this country for the good, that could actually propel Americans who work for a living forward, that could actually result in, child care being taken care of for working parents, that could actually result in health care that's truly affordable, expanding Medicare to younger people like me, okay, to literally do real meaningful justice reform, to increase Social Security benefits for people who are on Social Security and can barely live, to cancel billions of dollars of student loan debt, to create a safer place in America for unions to collectively bargain with their corporate masters, because the only power we have is the numbers of us. That's why I love in that ad where he said that all we have is each other. That's all we have. So I'm very excited about January 5th. That is what's next. It is what we're going to work for. It's what we're going to talk about. It's what we're going to find, a way to help happen. Joe in California.
Oh, hi. Thank you very much. My Shana Punam. Yeah.
This
There you go.
Mamala voted for Kamala. Yeah.
Happy belated Veterans Day, by the way. I think we were in the same time. I was served from 81 to 85, and I was just thinking about you talking the other day about your service. At any rate, I wanted to bring up something I heard today. You're as mad as I am, but, Ralph Nader had a position that he thought that would be interesting if you could listen to Biden appointing a couple of conservative Republicans to the cabinet, thereby not giving up any Senate seats there from the Democratic side. Clinton did this with Cohen, but I'm thinking of two states right now potentially that could be a benefit. One would be where Burr's at in North Carolina, and the gentleman in Wisconsin. That's the Republican senator, but it's a Democratic governor.
Ron Johnson?
So, there's another one.
The other one.
He was on TV the other day talking about counting the votes. But Wisconsin went blue. So he's a red state, or he's a Republican in a blue state. But if he got some cabinet position that he couldn't hurt anybody, maybe you give the balance back to the Democrats.
So,
is it possible?
Again, it would come down to what state are you talking about? Because the only Republican in Wisconsin is Ron Johnson. Otherwise, we have Tammy Baldwin, and she's a Democrat.
So
Arizona, that we now have two Democratic senators. We have Kristen Sinema and Mark Kelly. Nevada, you got two Democratic senators. What state? What state would you pull from?
There's another state in the Midwest that has a Democratic governor, but it has a Republican senator. And he was on television. I want to say his last name starts with an S, but he was well-spoken and he seems somewhat reasonable. He said, let the ballots be counted and we'll go from there. But this gives you, should I say, takes two Republicans, and Biden gets to say, look, I picked up some Republicans in my cabinet, and then I really like what Stacey Abrams is doing, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, if I announced that before the election, this made me take some of the wind out of the sails of all the Trump supporters.
So I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't know what state you're talking about that we could pull from.
I thought it was the state of Wisconsin because he's a Democrat.
Wisconsin, the only Republican senator is Ron Johnson.
Okay, so then when Ohio, that's a Republican governor in Ohio.
Yeah, Mike DeWine.
Yes, and then Illinois. I'm grasping at straws here, but I hope you do the homework.
You want me to now? All right, I'll research it. I'll figure it out for you. Which
got Martha McSally in Arizona.
She's gone. She just lost.
She's gone.
She just lost. There you go.
We just flipped her. But this is a Democratic governor in a Midwestern state that just went blue for Biden and has a senator that is a Republican.
Michigan? Are you thinking maybe Michigan?
Is it Michigan? What's the two? One is At any rate, if we do the homework, and if that's possible, potentially we have another way. But I think Stacey Abrams is the person.
We have two Democratic senators in Michigan.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. What state would you pull from?
I know there is one because Ralph Nader brought it up. The name escapes me.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I'm sure it wouldn't take long to research that. I'm
doing it in real time with you, and I'm telling you that the only Republican senator in the Midwest where there is a Democratic governor is Wisconsin, and that would be Ron Johnson. See, that would be it. Okay.
And North Carolina has Burr, and Burr was the gentleman, wasn't he, on the impeachment or the Judiciary Committee?
Who's the governor of North Carolina?
Who is the governor of North Carolina? He's a Democrat. No, he's a Democrat.
He is. Then we pull from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And you got another one, and but you want to find one that you can rely that they're not going to be cuckoo, because that's the thing. It's getting crazier. So you can't just pull anybody. You have to make sure the person that you will follow Biden's direction. And I think that Burr has represented that he can be fair. Not that I would say he's the best pick, but at least gets one less senator for the GOP.
So North Carolina, that's not a bad place to go.
It's not a bad place because it's a Democratic governor. He can make the appointment if the Constitution in that state allows that, which I believe each state has their own Constitution, but I believe that North Carolina does have that in there.
So so that would be it.
And there's one more. I just have to do the research, but I know there's one more because we talked about this. I should say I heard about it on Tom's show this morning, and it was Ralph Nader's idea. So the gentleman who brought it forward brought it to Tom's attention that that's another possibility. So we could just donate money to the Stacey Abrams' thing and Fair Fight. I think you got a chance. You just saw this commercial. These two are the best going, and as you point out, those other two are both guilty of a crime.
They are. They're both guilty of crimes of insider trading, and Loeffler is, starting
if you did that or I did
starting to flirt with QAnon and, all their crazy pedophile, running the universe thing. And it's just very creepy, and it's not, it represents absolutely no progress for anybody who cares about any of the issues that they obviously care about, the forgotten man issues. Those are the issues that the Democratic Party would like to tackle. These are the issues that Donald Trump dangled. He's a dangler, but he never did jack crap about any of them. Never raised the minimum wage, never came with a health care plan, never did anything on infrastructure, nothing. He did absolutely nothing for the working people. He didn't do anything on student loans. He didn't do nothing at all. But, I appreciate your idea. I think that is not a bad place to look for winning the Senate majority. And North Carolina is not a bad place to look because they do have a Democratic governor, okay? I looked it up while I was talking to him because I couldn't remember his name either. It's Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper is a Democratic governor in North Carolina. You have 2 Republican senators, and Burr has his moments of, Republicanism where he'll just repeat any swill that, Trump says. But when it came to issuing reports on the Intelligence Committee, because Burr is the chairman of the Intel Committee, he would not allow Donald Trump to get away with lying about Obama spying with the Obamagate scandal. He wouldn't let Donald Trump get away with any of that swill